What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We have an amazing episode for everyone today. We're going to be covering exactly what's going on with AMC and GME. We also have some important news with the market in general. And at the end of today's video, we have a $4.3 million options trade. But Tom, look at AMC right now. It is exploding up around 18.5%.
Yeah, this is amazing. AMC is really exploding along with GME, and we've been talking about them a ton this week, and they finally broke that $14 to $14.50 resistance this morning and just flew up. And man, they just have not looked back ever since they broke that, flying all the way up to now 1626, running up at after hours. I think as a lot of people are getting FOMO, everybody's has that fear of missing out on this one, and I feel like they're all rushing in end of day. But let's go ahead and look at what the Motley Fool reported. And they said that AMC was jumping because a Citi analyst, Jason Bazinet, raised his price target on the movie theater chain to $3.70 per share, while also maintaining his sell rating on the stock. But we can see it's way above $3.70 per share. And there's just a lot of momentum coming in. And I'm not sure if that news specifically brought in the momentum or not, but man, yesterday and today have just looked amazing for AMC. It broke out of this wedge and has just exploded ever since. And it's just a great looking stock. And man, I love it. It's moving up above $16. And it's just a very awesome thing to watch run up at the end of the day here.
Absolutely. It is exploding. So, what are your thoughts on it? Because the short interest rate, or the short float, I should say, is right around 21%. And we all know how GameStop and AMC just exploded back in January and February. So what are your thoughts? It's really popping up right now. I know a lot of people are going to be talking about it and hyping it up. So what level should we watch out for? And what should we watch out for?
Yeah, I think we definitely need to watch out for like $18 and then $20 tomorrow. Let me go on a 180-day 4-hour chart and let's go ahead and look. But it looks like $18, somewhere between $17.50 and $18 is a pretty big resistance on this one. So watch out for that. It's at $16.30 right now, and it's breaking out above the high of like $15.80 end of day. So that's a pretty good move, and I just really like this one. I think it could come up to 18 tomorrow. It could go a lot higher than that too, given what we've seen. And I'm not sure that the short squeeze is necessarily happening yet, but man, if this keeps going up, and if, like, for example, if this hits like 18 or even higher, like 20 to 25 over the next few days, that might really cause some of those shorts to have to get out of this again. And man, if that happens, it might explode to new highs, and it would just be an amazing looking thing here with AMC, especially if it could get up to these like $25 levels again. But definitely watch for 18 tomorrow. I think that's going to be a really big level.
Sounds great, and it's exploding even higher right now. Overall, it's set to finish the day up around 21%, so just a crazy move there. Of course, AMC and GameStop are pretty risky, but in the past, they have really exploded, so definitely keep it on your radar. But Tom, what other important news happened today?
Yeah, I just wanted to go over a couple of quick updates, and a lot of people are still talking about SPCE, and this stock's been moving pretty well. I'm going to go to the 90-day 15-minute real quick, but we can see it bounced off of this $25 support today and kind of held its ground. It's still in the middle of its range, so I'm not sure what it's going to do, but definitely watch out because it's kind of consolidating. I think it's going to break big one way or the other over the next few days. And then another huge thing to look out for is actually gold. And we can go to GLD and see that gold is up almost 1% today, 0.9% on GLD specifically. And man, it's just really running up. And this is awesome because gold is continuing to skyrocket, and that possibly shows us some fears coming into the market. And gold is usually a pretty safe bet against inflation, and it usually gets bought up whenever we see fears coming into the market or stuff about inflation, obviously. And the thing is that the price of gold and the US dollar have a huge effect on the market. And they're pretty big indicators that a lot of analysts use when trying to predict certain crashes and certain market pullbacks. And seeing GLD up this much shows that I think that there's a lot of fear coming into the market, especially with the inflation going on. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see a huge market crash or anything like that, but we might see a little bit of a pullback or something. And it's just one of those things where people are buying up gold probably because of the inflation talks. And that's probably the main reason, but just watch out because gold is really killing it. And there's a pretty good resistance on GLD up at like 180 to 181. And we're at like 178 now. So there's actually a pretty good opportunity over the next few days.
For sure. It seems like a ton of different commodities have been rising a lot over the past couple months. A lot of people say because of like the inflation and the shortages, like copper's been exploding, lumber, obviously, and even gold and silver, like you suggested. So I'll definitely have my eyes on GLD. It's trending very well right now. And yeah, it's just really popping. And then, Tom, I also heard there was some news with like in the political environment.
Yeah, this is a little bit of politics. So guys, don't take this to heart. It's just what CNBC reported here, but a group of Senate Republicans plan to send Biden another infrastructure counteroffer as soon as Thursday. And the hopes for a bipartisan deal appeared to dim last week after the White House sent the GOP a $1.7 trillion proposal, which lasts $600 billion from the president's original plan. But the GOP's new measure is expected to approach only $1 trillion. So that'll be about $700 billion short of the 1.7 trillion proposal that the White House gave. So to just keep in mind that there might be a little bit of fighting going on in the political spectrum, and that might cause the SPY to maybe dip if we see some negative news. It might cause the SPY to also to rise if it ends up being positive news. So just watch out. And they said that this might be expected as soon as Thursday. So just keep that in mind. Maybe watch out on like Wednesday and Thursday. You might need to be a little careful, a little wary, just in case the market dips a little.
Sounds great. So AMC ended up closing about 20% to the upside. So that was great to see. And GameStop was up around 16.3%. So definitely keep your eyes on those two stocks. But let's get right into our member of the day and the momentum play. With today's member of the day, we have Grub. Huge shout out to Grub. Thanks for being a great member of the Discord and asking great questions and just providing some great information within the Discord chat. But now let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. And Tom, you already know what the first one is, AMC.
Yeah, with AMC, go ahead and make them break above 1675 tomorrow. And if they're already up above that because they keep flying up here in after hours, then make them break above $17. And if it keeps going after that, then watch out for that big resistance, like I said, of $18. I think that might be a pretty big level.
All right, and then we have Square.
Square. This one has also been flying. Make them break above 219.10, or just watch out right around 219, but 219.10 more specifically.
All right, and then with the last one, we have AMGN to the downside. So they tanked off big time today. What levels should we be watching?
Yeah, this is pretty huge. And they actually tanked off in after hours also, but make them break below 240.97 or right below 241 tomorrow.
All right, so we are eyeing AMC and Square for potential day trades tomorrow to the upside, only if they break above the levels Tom listed. And we are watching AMGN for a potential day trade to the downside tomorrow, only if it breaks below the level Tom listed. But now let's check out the $4.3 million options trade that expires this Friday, May 28th. We are looking at the Coin 250 strike calls, and Coin just popped up today. It finished up around 8%, and it just had an amazing day. I know it got beaten down a lot lately since its DPO, ever since it started trading, but it had a pretty solid recovery today. I would say that they are longing these calls. I know that they're about, you could say $7.50 out of the money, and they are a weekly. So, it's definitely a more speculative trade, but with the chart movement, it looks pretty decent.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty decent as well. It's trying to come up in after hours also, and I would have to say it looks pretty good. Honestly, I would think that they're longing them, but it is a little far out of the money, but not really given how much Coinbase moves. I mean, you can see it was up $17 today, and it's moved that much a lot in the past too, falling from 240 down to 208 in one day. So just keep in mind there's going to be a lot of movement out of this, and I would think that they're longing it, but it's just one of those really risky plays. But I think if we trade it safely and we just watch for a break above 244 tomorrow, then it could end up being a pretty good scalp or pretty quick day trade, I think.
Sounds good. Well, let's get right into our questions from the previous episode. And with the first question, we have Jesse asking about the QQQ puts from the $217 million options trade video. So a couple weeks back, I made a video on how some institution bought $217 million worth of QQQ put options. And Jesse's asking if they are still holding those puts. So that's a great question. And at one point, this institution was up about $100 million on this position. They did not close, and now they're down around $2.5 million, and they are still holding. So it's definitely an interesting situation. I mean, the QQQ isn't exploding right now, but it's not really tanking. It's just kind of it's kind of like in the middle of its range, you can say. But great question, and they are still holding. So definitely keep an eye on that. And then with the next comment, we have, let's see, with the next comment, we have Jack Tastic saying, "Hey dudes, thanks for the continued great updates and follow-ups on questions. I picked up some SFT on the dip today, trading near all-time lows along with BFLY. Seemed too good to be true. Kathy/Ark owns BFLY. Sometimes I forget the number one rule to buy low and sell high. What do you think?" So thanks for the great comment. Let's check out SFT first. So SFT, you are picking it up near its lows. It looks okay. I mean, it's definitely not my favorite setup. It's just okay. It's definitely a really risky trade.
Yeah, I think it's pretty risky. It is down there at those lows, and it did make new lows on that drop. But yeah, I mean, it's good. It's a good thing that you're buying it at lows, but keep in mind that buying low and selling high, it's obviously safer to do it on stocks like Apple or like Microsoft or like AMD or ones like that are a little bit safer. This one, just looking at the daily chart, you can tell it's going to have some risk to it, just given the price it is and how much it moves. But honestly, it's not too bad that you're buying down there. I don't know anything fundamentally about the company, but one thing that looks interesting to me is look how much volume came in whenever it had this down day, and now it's kind of popping back a little bit. So maybe you are getting it at the bottom, which could be a good trade, but definitely just be a little careful with it for sure.
Yeah, and then with the next one, we have BFLY. It looks decent. I don't know. It's not my favorite setup, but it's all right. And I guess it's good news to hear that Kathy's buying in.
Yeah, and there's not a ton of data on BFLY. It has a low around 920 right now. It could still go lower because we haven't really had to like retest that too much yet. So just be careful if we retest that and break below it, then you might want to look at like cutting shares if you get it at like $10 or like $10.30.
And then the weighting in ARKG. So BFLY is in the ARKG fund, and the weighting is only 0.19%. So she doesn't have a ton of conviction in the stock. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. And with the next comment, we have, let's see, we have Patel saying thoughts on CLOV. High short float in Wall Street bets interest. So Tom, what are you thinking about this one?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like intraday it tried to pop up this morning and it held its ground pretty well. I think if it stays above $7, it could be a pretty good play over the next few days. And if we look at the daily chart, it reminds me of a lot of stocks that have been going down lately. It kind of reminds me of SFT, like we just talked about. It's been going down. It's kind of like at that support right now. So if you want to buy it on support, I think it's a good time to buy it. Like if you want shares or if you want like long-term leaps or something like that. But man, it's just a pretty risky stock. It's obviously not as safe as some of the other ones, but honestly, it's pretty good here at this support, but just be very, very careful with it. It had a lot of hype whenever it was popping a few weeks ago up to $12 and it really tanked off. So just be very careful because you can see it rose 100% and then fell 50% over the next week. So just be very careful with it.
All right, and then with CLOV, the short float is around 34%, so there's definitely potential for a short squeeze. It's not bad, and it's pretty close to its lows. So, Tom, do you have any like top stocks or anything you're watching for tomorrow?
Man, I'm really looking at like A&D and a lot of stocks like that. I think it almost looks like a lot of these stocks want to almost go down. And like if we go look at like Apple on a daily chart, I know me and you were talking about this. It's hard to short Apple or something like that, but man, it's just not looking good. There's a really high resistance here around like $140. It's hit off of it quite a few times. It even has like a head that extended out to like 145 to make like a little head and shoulders pattern here. And man, if we start to see some negative momentum and it really breaks good below like 120 or like 116, I mean, I think Apple could go down quite a bit. And, it's weird to see because Apple's been coming out with a lot of stuff and they've had a lot of good talks, but man, it just seems like a lot of these stocks, even like NVDA and others are getting close to some of these resistances. And if they end up falling on these, it could be pretty bad. But keep in mind, NVDA has that split talk too. So they might keep going. But in general, I was just talking general tech stocks like Apple, Microsoft, and others.
Sounds good. And thank you guys so much for watching today's video. We have a lot of interesting things happening in the market right now with AMC and GME, and even with Coinbase popping up, ticker symbol coin. So thank you guys so much for watching the video, and come join Tom and I live every single morning at market open on the new Stocked Up live channel. The link is in the description down below. And if you guys have any trading questions or need any help, feel free to submit a form on the link. The link is going to be in the comments down below. I'm going to pin a link there. So if you guys need any help, feel free to submit any questions or anything at that link. And if you guys have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. But other than that, thanks for watching.